What's up, everybody? Lawler here, talking about the OCE and South America Championships that went down just a couple days ago. The season is coming to an end at a rapid pace, and because there is only two teams that would normally go to the World Championship for South America and OCE, there was only one match for them to play on broadcast. So that's what we're going to be covering today. We've got OCE and Sam, then there was actually a Japanese 3v3 show match as well that went down, with the top two seeds from IWO that qualified first, but we'll get into the specifics of that. So today's video, a lot of focus on the recap, what went down, things to be excited for, and some jaw-dropping moments from a particular player that we're going to emphasize. What's up, everybody? Lawler here, inside source for all things Rocket League. Going to be talking about the RLCS X Championships, primarily for South America, a Japan 3v3 show match, and then the OCE Championships as well. Lots to cover, so we're going to get straight into it. As a reminder of the format, these are a best of set. You are trying to win 2 out of 3 best of 7s as quickly as possible, and whoever can do that first ends up getting the title. All of the prize pools for these are $100,000, 70,000 to first place, 30,000 to second place. So a lot of money on the line for qualifying for these. Up first, we're going to talk about two teams from South America. We got True Neutral and Furia. True Neutral, who has been the dominant team pretty much through the entire season, has qualified very early on and kind of just taken over the region for quite a while now. It is Shad, Razebull, and AJG going up against Furia's Card, Tander, and Kaio. You guys should know King Card, the Prince, all that kind of stuff. Furia is probably one of the more notable names. They're with L Evans. They let that contract expire and then got picked up by Furia. And the cool thing, too, was to see them have a facility to play in during these championships, as you saw through the player cams. And there's going to be a bunch of highlights and stuff showing from the event as these go over. First series was pretty telling about how we assumed things were going to go. But Furia obviously always has a fight in them. The history between these two teams in South America is actually pretty close. True Neutral usually wins, you know, I would say like 7 out of 10 times. But every once in a while, Furia comes in and shows up. In the first series, 4-2, and it starts off really, really well for Furia with an overtime win at 32 seconds, 1-0, and then an immediate another win at 2-1. And then after that, it decides like True Neutral came to play and closes it out. 3-1, 4-0, 3-2 with 41 seconds of overtime, and 2-1. A lot of these series felt like similar South America. You could definitely tell like the highlight players and the mechanics continue to show up and be really important. But there's still frustrations for me with the defensive rotations and some of the things that you would like to see them really work on refinement of. And I don't know if it's something that they just don't recognize or if it's not something that's being taught. And I'll admit this straight up front about South America. I don't know the coaching situation. I don't know what's going on, but there's some very glaring issues with South America. But the positive to it is, one, it makes it really, really entertaining. And for anybody who didn't watch, I recommend, obviously, as always, go do so. Links to everything in the description down below for quick links to all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, the mechanics and everything else that pairs with it, like some of these players are just absolutely cracked, like really, really talented players. And you get to see that showcased quite a bit. We used a lot of in the top 10, top 15 plays we did for the Sportsnet show, ranking up. We used a lot of South America highlights because the players are really, really skilled. It's just that emphasis and that lack of, I guess, consequence you're seeing out of some of the NA teams, except for the rotational style is just ingrained in their play. So you still have midfield pressure and the rotation to keep it going, but every once in a while you just see one boomed. You see an open net that it gets scored on. You see like little small mistakes that could be refined and cleaned up to make one of these teams really, really talented. But because they are so emphasized on the aggression and the high flying and the, you know, the in-your-face kind of play style, you do get a lot of really sick pressure and players playing with the mentality of like, there's no consequence, go for it, have faith, trust, just go. And if teams can stop that, then they get punished. But in the region, that doesn't really happen. It's a really interesting dynamic to watch South America develop. So that happens a lot. You can obviously point out the star players and who wants to step up, whether it be Razebull, Shad, or AJG. It does not matter. Same thing applies to Furia at any given moment. Kyle, Card, and Tander all absolutely cracked. Primarily, obviously, people usually focus on Card and Kyle. Tander doesn't get enough credit, but I do think some of his decision making is absolutely world class. So a lot of credit to him. So first series is 4-2 in favor of True Neutral. We then go into series 2, and Furia again out of the gate just comes blasting through. reset the mental really, really well. And it looked like, man, Furia's going to run away with this. They may just like reverse sweep, but in the fullest degree, 8-0 in these last matches. They win 2-1 in overtime, 126, 3-1, and then 6-0. It takes a little bit for True Neutral to get adjusted to the aggression that is brought out. Furia have really kicked up the pace, which was really exciting to watch. And then True Neutral got a 2-1 victory. And then 4-3, people stopped playing defense again at 3-14 in favor of Furia. So Furia now is at an equal scoreline. It is now 1-1 in the set, and we go to our final best of 7, to which True Neutral again does what True Neutral always does, which is clutch it out, because that's just how they are. But you saw 2 in one favor, 2 in the other favor, and you saw that pattern repeat. And that's a pretty common thing in Rocket League when, again, we talk about the pivotal game 3 moment. It's a little bit different in a best of 7. In a best of 5, usually you kind of get a feeler match. You have a team that their initial play style is usually the better one, and it's a kind of slow scoring affair or just an absolute blowout. It's very rarely in the middle. So low scoring affair is usually pretty common, and in this case, like 3-1, 3-2. Goals at the kind of end are usually how they get scored. And after that game, either teams that like Space Station, who are really good at making adjustments, will either get a win or keep it really, really close. In this case, 4-2. So similar scoreline again, 2-goal game differential. But game 3 is kind of when you start to get used to the trends and the patterns, because the whole like, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of mentality exists. Yo, this thing we're doing is working really well. Keep doing that thing. Team gets used to it. Team makes adjustment. Game 3 rolls around, and then it switches the other way. Our play style to beat your play style now happens, and we get 2, and that goes back and forth. But in a best of 7, after that happens, usually it's like the end of game 5 and partially into game 6, you start to recognize that both teams have kind of figured out all the tricks of the trade from both rosters, and it goes very even, where it's a 1-goal game, always down to the wire. You stop seeing all these massive goals and deficits. But in South America, they just blow the door open sometimes. It's actually really entertaining to just... The trends that I'm used to seeing from Europe and North America, and even sometimes OCE, just don't apply to South America sometimes. It's actually really weird. So really exciting to see there. We get to our last games, 5-6, and it is a 3-2 game. So that's like game 6 where I say it kind of just starts to level out. Both teams kind of figure each other out. Now it's just a matter of the individual efforts, the big highlight moments that really separate, or like that one drastic mistake. And it is another overtime, minute 55 in favor of True Neutral. And then we go to the next game, and True Neutral closes out on Neo Tokyo 5-2. They end up winning the championships. $70,000 for True Neutral, $30,000 for Furia. Really exciting series. Again, I don't think South America gets enough credit. There's a lot of people that, if you do listen to pros talk about South America when they play on LAN, if they can recreate what they do in scrims and practices after getting that boot camp experience, which again, they haven't had in so long. They haven't been exposed to the international competition at the, the highest level, other than, playing ranked and dealing with server issues and ping, to really refine and take and learn from, and then bring it back to the region. Because after we saw them play in, season 8, they came back and just immediately the skill level jumped up. They learn at such a rapid pace. It's unbelievable getting that kind of exposure. So it makes me really miss out on LAN. Immediately following that, though, then we got to a show match. And this is for Japan. It was Tokyo Verde Esports. A lot of you should know Tokyo Verde from the Lawler LAN series that I've been doing. The RNG gods going up against Thinking Faster. These are the 2 teams that qualified for IWO first in the first Japan qualifier. So it was Tokyo Verde. In these, they're technically a best of 3, but they're actually doing a full series of 3. So they play 3 matches no matter what. And Tokyo Verde, the most well-known team, continues to dominate in this, which was a cool showcase. You guys should know Realize. Realize is part of the squad that did the crazy 3-man in the air pass play thing that went down. Tenhao, his teammate, who was also with him on 1NE when they came and played in DreamHack Montreal. And then Maru, who's also a very talented player. I'd be lying if I knew the players on Thinking Faster. I know I've talked to Realize briefly about it, about Olpix, Shaolin, and Burn. I personally don't know the names, but it is cool for them to get, 100,000 plus people watching their matches and stuff. And just kind of get that exposure and show like, yes, this is a region, this is an area. Maybe it'll inspire other people who also watch the RLCS that, there is a scene in our area. Maybe I should start playing. So pretty cool stuff there for Japan, getting to play a show match and 3 matches. Tokyo Verde does take it 3-0. Scoreline is 3-1, 7-2, and 2-1. Last but certainly not least, Oceanic Championship. This is between Ground Zero and Cringe Society. I talked about this in my other video, I think on Friday or Saturday, about how I thought that Ground Zero may have possibly just come out and 4-0 because they just have been so dominant, like BDS levels of dominant in OCE. Ground Zero consists of Express Amphis. Remember Amphis. You're going to see a lot of his highlights coming up. And Torsas, who came previously from Cringe Society, which is Drippe, Deca, and Jules. Jules and Torsas switched rosters. So Ground Zero versus Cringe Society, and Cringe Society decides to do what they do best. And when a caster says something, or when an analyst says something, like this case, me being like, yep, Ground Zero can dominate, they decide to do the opposite. So Cringe Society comes out and ends up taking the first series 4-2. It is 3-1 in favor of Ground Zero, 3-0 in favor of Cringe, 4-2 in favor of Ground Zero, and then the following 3 in favor of Cringe, 3-2, 1-0, and 4-0. And it turned a lot of heads. There was a lot of questions revolving around is Cringe Society really going to do this? It's unfortunate because Torsas's career has kind of been plagued by some very, very unfortunate circumstances. And one of those things is in high pressure moments in big situations, whether it be on LAN or otherwise, he's tend to fall short. He tends to underperform a little bit. And we didn't see that with the first series. We're like, okay, you're having a pretty big impact. You're hitting some pretty nasty shots. Like, is this what we've been waiting to see for you in your career? And then Amphis decided to show why he is known as one of the best players, not only in the RLCS for OCE, but the world. Like, Amphis is cracked. Amphis is very, very talented. And I hope you're seeing some of the highlights that were showcased. Like, he goes for an air dribble or like a double touch, and then he gets a flip reset, lands on the backboard, jumps, passes it, and then drops down to like stupid stuff that you're just like, these are world-class goals, man. These are absolutely incredible. Ground Zero does what Ground Zero does best. I'm going to read some of these score lines, and even though, and credit to Cringe Society, does not get shut out, which is a really big deal. They keep it extremely close. The games were pretty much dominated by Ground Zero after that first series. I don't know what they did. I don't know if they like drank a special like wake up juice or something, or built different juice or something like that after that break of series 1. But going into series 2, it's 4-1, and then series 3, it's 4-0. And these are the score lines: 7-2, 2-1, 5-2. Cringe then gets their one game, 3-2, and then they close it out 3-1. So there's their one game. Goal differential is 9, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 goals to 9. So that's pretty massive. We then go to the third series where it is a 4-0, and it's 4-1, 5-1, 4-3 overtime, 249 on that pivotal kind of transition, and then 3-2. So again, another massive score margin that Ground Zero puts up. And this is what frustrates me, because obviously I know we can't have a LAN, and we can't have the ability for these players to really showcase what they have on the world stage. But it's like, I'm sitting here the entire time thinking about me like, damn it, I would love to see Ground Zero play true neutral. Damn it, I would love to see how Ground Zero and these other teams stack up against the 3, 4, 5s in North America and Europe. Is this playstyle that I look at, you know, when I talk about the Energy and G2 series, or when I look at what happens in the grand finals, how would these guys stack up on international competition? And just that unknowingness. And yes, we can do show matches and stuff, but with Ping, you just don't really get that appreciation for it. And it really sucks, because this season is now coming to an end. You know, we've got one more recap to cover, the grand finals. And I just think about it, and it's just like, God, I really want to know how this will have a long-term effect. What will be the lasting impact of the growth of Rocket League in regards to playstyles, and how much of a difference it makes when these other regions that are kind of separated and within their own bubble, and then because they don't have as big of a competitive scene, and it doesn't have as an influx or depth of talent, that I don't know what that gap is going to be. But then I go and watch some of these matches, and there's a couple teams where I'm just like, yeah, they're pretty good, and I can't see how they stack up, and it makes me upset. I can speculate, I can try to, based upon how I've seen, make my assumptions of what the placings would be in a world championship, but it's not the same, and it stinks. I don't like it, but it is what it is. Enough of that rants. That is going to wrap it up for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoy the recap. If you guys would like to watch those matches or have any additional questions on them, you can either leave comments down below, and I'll do my best to get to those, or if you check out the description, links to all the Liquipedia pages where you can find the recaps and stuff. If you click on the little eye icon, it'll do a drop down, and then you can actually go to the timestamp where the matches start, and you can watch them all and then skip through the other stuff. And you can watch them actually relatively quickly. So pretty exciting stuff, man. OCE in South America, $200,000, $100,000 obviously a piece with the show match. Then the show matches for Middle East and Japan had like $12,000 total. It was split differently. So some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, it's we've got 2 matches left. That's it. Tomorrow's video, we're going to be recapping the grand finals. We've got Vitality versus BDS. We've got Energy versus Space Station Gaming. And man, what a series those were. So if you guys do enjoy the content and don't want to miss out on those, as always, easiest thing to do, give the video a thumbs up, leave any questions, comments, concerns down below, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.